Yeah, as far as staffing in the building, I've learned a lot since my New Mexico days. I've been doing this since the mid-'80s, and going from having my entire staff in-house to partially in-house and partially outsourced to mostly outsourced here in our building. We do have catering and concessions that are part of our operation here, and up until last year was all in-house. We finally outsourced that piece as well, and I felt like I needed to do that to upscale our food and beverage services and catering services. With the addition, we had $4 million worth of new suites upstairs overlooking the arena. And we felt like to get better in that area, I had to outsource it to some experts. But for the rest of the staff, I've got a handful of people that can fix things, set up the minor tables and chairs and stage and that. But outside of that, I think I've got 8 full-time staff. We have hundreds of part-time staff and vendors that come in and help. With RMC Events alone, they're a security and event management firm. I think they've got close to 2,500 employees, and they've got contracts with VCU and Virginia Tech and UVA and Richmond International Raceway, Martinsville Speedway, Kings Dominion, the City of Richmond. So they're all over the place. They've got employees all over the state, so they can fill a need at the drop of a hat.
Okay. And who do you use now for concessions, the outsourced side?
We use Ovations Food and Beverage. I think they're actually out of Florida, but we met them. They're in the Tidewater area, managing the what do they call the Tides, the Norfolk Tides baseball team. So we met Ken Young here in Virginia, and because we knew they knew Virginia and understood, and had been here and understood our needs, that was a good fit. And it's worked out well for the last 18 months that they've been on campus.
Okay, so you don't have like a large group of employees that are your own. You have a staff of 8, and then the rest is outsourced out.
Yeah, we have a handful of temporary labor, part-time, and of course I've got the 35 students in our Center for Sport Leadership program. So I have 2 basically full-time interns for the year, and we also have student employees, maybe 1 or 2 that will come and work with us for the year. But not having to worry about the insurance and the benefits and all the other things that come with having the employees has been wonderful. And being able to call and get a flex group, so I can get up to 100 security staff for a concert, and I only need 30 for the next night, or none for this week, for this holiday week. I don't have to have them in-house. All of my full-time staff are on vacation this week, which is great. But I also have my intern. I've got 1 intern and student employee here, and one guy that is floating around the facilities. So I'm not paying all these other people to sit around and do nothing. I call them when I need them.
Some of our stuff that's happened, over last June, our left field wall over here actually had some damage during one of our games. Basically, a storm came through, and we had a day game around 12 o'clock, and the storm just, took everyone out from their seats onto the concourse just to kind of prepare them for everything. And we just thought it was just, normal rain, and then all of a sudden temperature dropped, and then the wind started blowing. The tarp was about 18 feet up in the air, and some of the staff members actually had to, pull down as hard as they can because they were getting lifted up. And no one really had any clue what happened to our left field wall until actually the rain settled down, and then you realize that a good amount of our wall was gone. It was something that, for our favor, it worked out because it was the last game of the homestand. So, we didn't have to worry about it interfering with the next game. We had about 2 weeks to prepare and get that wall replaced, which was, taking photos at every angle to make sure, for insurance reasons, that it was up to code at that time, and then, having to replace it was, the next big step. And, with the fans, their safety is #1 when it comes to anything. So, there was people actually in our different suites hiding in there, trying to be safe, people going into bathrooms because there was rain everywhere, winds blowing, and, trash was getting thrown all over. But, it was just one of those things where you couldn't control Mother Nature.
Well, turf fields seem pretty easy because they're fake, but they are just as hard and sometimes more costly than running a grass field. I'll start from the beginning. We are actually installing right now a new field, and it is a UBU product. there's different synthetic turf products out on the market. Our field consists of an infill, which is rubber and sand. The ratio that we have now is 75% rubber, 25% sand base. Those two mix with each other to give the most real feel to dirt under natural grass. And it seems like people say it's easy to take care of, but it is not. You still have to take care of it like a natural grass field. With natural grass, you'll cut and you'll aerate and you'll top dress, you'll fertilize, you'll do everything to take care of a natural grass field. We have to aerate here, we have to top dress rubber here. We have to groom the field basically once a week just to make sure that the fibers are still sticking up, making sure that there's no debris on the field. Again, sometimes you'll have to mix more water in to make the rubber and sand a little more firm. I mean, you kind of experiment with it. There's your good things and your bad things. I mean, when you paint on an artificial turf field, you actually have to remove that paint. If you have grass, you can choose to grow it off, or you can choose to basically cut it off, like I said, and it could be easier. So I would say painting is a little more difficult on an artificial field. But then you have the pros of the situation where you're not dealing with any real weather problems. Obviously, natural grass becomes muddy if you have a poor drainage system. It can, obviously, you have a more difficult job cutting it or doing something along those lines. Here, we don't have those problems. So you have different things that go into it. Obviously, with a natural turf system, it's still pretty evolutionarily new compared to a natural grass. So we're still learning, we're still finding out, we're still doing different things to see how this stuff operates. Again, it's only 10 years old, so every day there's a new challenge and a new thing. Well, we're actually replacing our turf right now because the Super Bowl's here in January. So as for the Super Bowl, we are getting a new field. But usually shelf life for a professional NFL stadium is either 1, with some fields like New Orleans, to 8-9 years. Detroit just replaced their field after 8 years. Now, I believe, well, we did it when the stadium opened 3 years ago, but I believe the plan here is at MetLife Stadium to go every 3 to 4 years of replacing a field. With the constant wear and tear you have on a field, at a big venue like this or another big stadium, concert flooring, sod from soccer, you're going to constantly just beat those fibers down and basically put wear and tear on them, just like a car. So we are proactive here, and we make sure that we provide our athletes with the best possible surface, and that means changing every 3 to 4 years. In August, we'll have quite the challenge this year. We have a concert on the last weekend of July, Bon Jovi. From that concert, we're going to be ripping up flooring the night of the concert and putting down sod a day later. The sod will basically be unrolled and by our laborers and worked upon. And once we sod the entire field, which generally takes about 18 hours, 2 days, we will cut, roll, do all the basic maintenance to it, have the game later that week, roll the sod back up, put another concert down the second week of August, roll the sod back, take the concert flooring back off, roll the sod back down for another soccer event on the 14th, and then go into football season. So right there you're working with 5 events within 3 weeks where we'll have around-the-clock coverage to change over that field. So there is a lot. The challenges, again, between weather, mechanical problems, not having enough crew. I mean, they're unlimited. There's so many things that go into it. But again, you make it happen. You work. You figure out things. If there's a problem, you figure out how to improvise on the spot, and you go from there. But there are multiple challenges between putting different events on in one stadium.
When you're talking about putting the sod, do you go right on top of the fibers, or do you put like plywood underneath, or do you put sheeting underneath? Or?
We put a thing called geotextile over the actual field. Geotextile is a porous material, kind of similar to if you ever put down a carpet underneath a planter bed. It's just a fabric. It's a filter fabric. So basically, the geotextile allows for water to go through the sod, drain through our system, but it keeps the turf as clean as possible. Obviously, there's dirt that gets through, but there will be no root growth below the geotextile or anything like that. So it's a porous material to allow for our field still to drain, but somewhat protect the field. Above the geotextile, we unroll 2-inch sod, which is 2 inches of dirt, not counting the height of the grass, which we keep at about 0.75 to an inch. And like I said, unrolling sod is a strip at a time. The strips are probably 4 feet long, 8 to 10 feet in height. I'm sorry, 4 feet wide, 8 to 10 feet in height, and you just go over 100,000 square feet that way.
How many employees does that take you to do that process?
Depending on time constraints. For example, the first soccer game we have this year, we have 5 days to put in. So we'll break it down to 2 days. 2 days to put the sod in, we'll start off with an 8-hour call, and if we see we have to improve or go over, we'll give them overtime, and we will increase the call. We had a soccer game after a football game last year where we started on Monday, the second game was on Wednesday, and we had a 12-hour call on Monday and I believe another 12-hour call on Tuesday. So that was 100,000 square feet in 24 hours, and 24 man hours. And obviously there's more that goes into just putting sod down. The goalpost got to go and the bench has got to go, and you got to roll the sod, you got to cut the sod. So it's just a lot more than rolling out the sod. We also work with our contractor, which would be Kingston Turf, and they bring people with machines that roll it out, and our laborers basically make it mesh together very well.
They're heavy, the
Oh,
sod rolls, so they
very
need
heavy.
they have like a roller thing which helps roll it out.
Correct. Biggest challenges are, one, living up to NFL standards, which is there's 32 teams, the most popular sport in the world, to keep it at their standard. Again, turf's different with grass, but I work with the teams to make sure they're very happy with their GMAX ratings, with their end zone seams, making sure the field's safe. Some people might like it to be a little faster, people might be a little slower. So we work with the teams, we make sure that they're happy. Again, sometimes the teams involve working with the trainers. If there's injuries, they're going to ask because of the field. So again, being very cognizant in a lot of areas, and the biggest thing is we're here because of the Jets and the Giants, so we want to make sure the field is the way they would like. Again, there's challenges that go into concerts and in soccer games as well.